We are live. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Nerdin' Out Sports. It's Rob and Donald.
Salute, salute.
Salute to the Big Blue Nation, Giants fans everywhere. We've got some stuff to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to lead off with the big news from yesterday before we get into our Seahawks preview. Kadarius Toney, first-round pick from last year, traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for a third and a sixth. Probably something that was a long time coming. The dude just never saw the field. Donald, I know you have a lot of feelings about him, so why don't you start us off here?
Well, first of all, I think Joe Shane deserves an A. He managed to get 2 picks for someone who had absolutely zero role on a 6-1 ball club. He was never on the field. There's rumors that he faked an injury, but even without that, one thing we know factually is that he was never on the field, ready to go for the New York Football Giants. And the Giants got a third-round conditional pick plus not even conditional, third-round pick plus a sixth-round pick on top of that. So if the Giants even get one role player out of that two that has a role going forward with this organization, then that's a win because that's more than what Toney gave the Giants. Toney had 1 or 2 games last year where he looked elite, but he never saw the field again after that because he was always hurt. And then this past offseason, he was never healthy. He didn't turn up for voluntary camp, which I thought was disrespectful. Then every hamstring under the sun and every muscle under the sun started getting injured 1 week after another. All very shady business. And I think the Giants did terrifically with that value. I think it's an A+ trade for them. I think it's also an A trade for the Chiefs because they need a receiver. They need someone with his skill set. I think both sides will be happy because I'm sure Toney's going to be healthy for the Chiefs. I guarantee you. I think that he suits the Chiefs more than he suits the Giants. His wildcat type offense that he adds is something that the Chiefs can make use of, and I think he'll do fine there. But he needs out of New York. He didn't like the fan base. He didn't like people calling him out, and he went after them. For instance, Tana. He got DMs from Kadarius Toney, and Tana didn't even do anything or say anything. Toney had a very inflated view of himself, and also wasn't really interested in working. From what I understand, I've read from sources that the coaching staff last year liked him, but they could never trust that he'd do any work on his game behind the scenes. They never trusted when they weren't looking for him to actually keep himself in football shape. So I think it says a lot that he has more songs on Spotify than he does catches in the NFL. He's just not that interested in football, or certainly not for the Giants. I don't care that he's got a New York tattoo. I just got vibes that this guy wasn't all in. I certainly got those vibes when he was just never at practice. And listen, I don't know. It looked like he basically admitted on social media that he was faking an injury, but he then deleted it. I don't know if he was I don't know what his agenda was behind that, but what we know for certain is it's more than football and more than just injuries with Kadarius Toney. So getting 2 picks is a steal, in my opinion, and good riddance, in my opinion. We started fresh. We've now got another thing I want to add. Joe Shane is still looking forward, and I love this. He's still looking forward to next year. He's planning for next year. This team that's already so freaking good, doing amazing things at 6-1. Shane is still looking forward, and because this is still a rebuild, and it's all still the first step in the process. So he's accruing picks for next year. I'm excited about that. I'm excited for next year's draft, what we can get, and very, very happy Toney's gone. No, obviously it's tough to lose that skill set, but I just never felt he was locked in as a Giant.
Yeah, it's interesting because I said, maybe about a month or so ago when he first went down with the hamstring that turned into 2 hamstrings, I didn't want him to be a what-if player or what could have been player because we've had far too many of those in the NFL and for the Giants, that guys that just don't play when they're here and they turn into those stories of, well, imagine if he just seen the field, because he only played in 5 games last year or something like that. And 2 of those games immediately stick out to you, the Saints and the Cowboys, where he just showed out and was a big reason why we beat the Saints and a reason why we almost beat the Cowboys. But he just hasn't seen the field this year. Played in 2 games, was barely used in the first one, was used more in the second one. But since then, he hasn't seen the field. Who knows if he's faking it or not? Apparently, some of the news that's came out is that he feels he's healthy, but the Giants wanted to be cautious. They wanted to take it kind of week by week, wait until after the bye. And I guess he just didn't want to hear that, so they got what they could for him. People are going to complain, the Giants used a first-round pick on him, and they only got a third. Joe Schoen didn't pick him. So Joe Schoen's got to get what he can get. And you're not getting a second for a player that hasn't played. I'm sorry. You're not getting a second. There's no shot you're getting anywhere near a first. Maybe if it was a team that's guaranteed, like Buffalo or something that's going to pick late in the second, maybe you could, like even Kansas City could have potentially given you a second, but he would have to have been on the field for it even to consider that. So you're getting a third, which you could find some really good talent in the third round, especially at the wide receiver position. So you could still find a pretty good player in round 3 with that pick, or they still need receiver help this year. They can plan on competing, even though you're still committed to the rebuild. You can still get a player that's going to help you this year and next year in a trade. There's a lot of receivers that could be on the board. So maybe they use that extra pick to get somebody that can help this offense right now. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think they have the cap space to do it, but it's something to at least consider. But for now, the Giants have, 9 picks going into next year's draft. And that's a good thing. When you have a lot of holes in the roster, you need middle linebackers. You need linebackers in general. You're going to need receiver help. You might need some help on the offensive line, depending on if Izudu can progress, and who knows what's going to happen with Nick Gates and guys like that. But this roster still has holes, so getting as many picks as possible, it's a good thing. Would Toney have been perfect for this offense? I believe so, but not on the field. And you can't be upset about a player that had zero contributions to a 6-1 team, as you just mentioned, being moved. It wasn't going to work out here. It was clear that there was just even though it wasn't there early in the year, because remember in training camp, they were playing his music and he was showing out. The coaches were speaking highly of him. They were excited about him. But once this injury happened, it seemed like this has been brewing for a few weeks. And it maybe just came down to the culmination of yesterday where it's like, I want to play. And they're like, no, let's just wait till you're 100%. And they just say, you know what? We got to do what we got to do now, because he doesn't want to be here clearly, or they had disagreement. So I don't know if this was going since the offseason. I doubt it. I highly doubt this new regime came and said, I don't like this kid. But it just had to have happened in the last couple of weeks, and they had to move on from him. I'm torn because I really wanted him to – everyone did. Everyone wanted him to be good. And I do think it was a good move in general, because you're not going to – again, if you're not going to play, if he's not going to see the field, and if he's not contributing, you can't complain about getting a third-round pick for a guy that has not seen the field.
Let's have a look and see. There's a couple of articles out. This is quite an interesting one here. Joe Schoen, this is on Giants Wire. Joe Schoen, Brian Dable addressed Giants after the Toney trade. So shortly before practice on Thursday, the Giants traded receiver Toney to the Chiefs. Dable said it was best for the team. That's a message both he and Shane wanted to convey, so they made a point to address the players. I like that. Julian Love says, I don't know if it sends a message, but they are trying to build for the future. They're trying to build the team. At the end of the day, no matter how we feel about Toney, they have a plan for this team, and we've just got to trust it. I think most of the guys trust in what they've done so far. Andrew Thomas says, we're winning games. Now we're focused on Seattle. Love acknowledged it was a smart play for Shane and Dable to address the team post-trade as opposed to just going about business as normal. I I think with the timing of it all, they had to address us so we could have a normal, good practice. We all found out, and it broke right before practice while we were getting ready. So it was a situation where they kind of wanted to get ahead of it. Although he was admittedly surprised by the move, Saquon Barkley didn't seem overly heartbroken. I never want to take anything away from KT. I like I said, he's a talented player, but for us right now, it's just to continue to have the same 1-0 mindset, fall in love with the process, and go to Seattle and try to come out with a win, Barkley said. And forward the Giants go without Kadarius Toney. Interesting. What did you think of some of the things that were said there?
It tells me that the players have completely bought in to Dable and Shane and what they're trying to build here, because in the past we certainly would. I don't think the team would have been addressed if this trade happened last year. Let's just say it was Gettleman and Judge and they traded a player. It just would have been, okay, let's get to it, and they wouldn't have talked about it. But now they're addressing the players, saying, hey, we traded somebody, and I'm sure he was well-liked. He seemed like a likable dude. I mean, it didn't seem like he had any issues with the players. So I'm sure he had a lot of close friends on that team, and the players need to be told when one of their guys is moving on, they have to at least know why. So I'm glad that Joe Shane and Brian Dable decided, let's attack this before we start anything today. And this way, if people find out during practice, it could halt things. This way they get it over with, they address the team beforehand, and then they say, okay, it's business as usual. Let's get ready for Seattle, because we are still 6-1. We are 6-1, and we have a chance to be 7-1, chance to be 8-1, and so on and so forth. It's a team that takes things week by week, and everything is built in preparation. So if there's anything that can possibly halt that preparation, it can be a bad thing. And we don't want to lose games, and we don't want to break away from what we've been doing so well throughout these first 7 weeks. So addressing the team first, get it over with, address it, do your thing, go into practice, get ready for Seattle. And I think these players are bought in enough to where they're just going to move on. There might be some guys that are upset about it, sure, but they're not going to let it affect the way they play or the way they practice. They're not going to start asking out. I think this is a real clear sign that this regime is something we have not had in a very long time here.
I love the trade, actually. I think it's great. And as you say, there's assets that we can attach to a possible trade. So from what we're reading, the Giants are very interested in Jerry Jeudy. That's something that the Giants have discussed with the Broncos. But apparently there's a high price to his head. Other names, Chase Claypool, but the Steelers want a second-round pick for Chase Claypool. DJ Moore is definitely available, but that $20 million contract or cap hit is not something that we want to take on, and I don't think we can afford to take on. That's three names I can think of. How would you go about it? Would you add a receiver if you could?
I think if they can try and get Jerry Jeudy, that might be the best option, because they're not going to pay the price for Claypool. I don't know if Denver asked for anything lower than a second for Jeudy, because he does have talent, but he hasn't really been utilized there. So it might be tough for them to get a second. We might have to give up our third, not Kansas City's third, in order to get him. I don't know if Joe Shane wants to do that. I still think the route we're going to go is, if he becomes available for us and he signs at a decent price, because he didn't sign for much last year to go to LA, I still want to hold out hope that we're going to get Odell Beckham back. But if they have to make a trade, Jeudy and Claypool seem like the most likely guys because their contracts are affordable. DJ Moore just is not affordable. And there are people that are bringing up DeAndre Hopkins. If we can't afford DJ Moore, we are not affording DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know where people are getting that from, but
exactly,
it's tricky because we need a receiver, but we can't afford one. We'd have to give up draft capital and pay contracts that we really don't have the cap space for to get one of these guys. So it's something that you really have to think about. If you're Joe Shane, do you want to do that, or do you want to just keep riding with what we have right now, even though it's not a very good group, and hopefully Kenny Golladay can come back and provide you something? He seemed to be pretty upbeat yesterday. more so than he was a few weeks ago. So maybe that's a positive sign. I don't know, but I want a receiver. I really do. I would love Jerry Jeudy on this team right now. He'd immediately be your number one. However, I don't know if Joe Shane pays the asking price, if he's going to give up a second and then maybe another pick and sacrifice the future, because he's, like you just said earlier, he is still very much heavily invested in the future. He's not letting the 6-1 start deter him from the ultimate goal here.
So reading a report for Pro Football Rumors right here, Giants created cap space by sending Toney to the Chiefs. They want to use that cap space to get Jerry Jeudy, who worked with Brian Daboll at Alabama. I actually forgot about that aspect. League buzz is indeed pointing to a Giants Jeudy run. Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post writes, Broncos have made Jeudy available, but with the former first-round pick signed through 2023 and able to be kept through 24 in his rookie deal, he has a lot of value. The Giants have their own first, second, and third, plus the Chiefs' compensatory pick that they could make available. However, the Packers are very interested in Jeudy. They're desperate to give Rodgers a receiver. With the Packers possibly being involved, it would at a higher price to get Jerry Jeudy. I think Daboll likes Jeudy a lot, and with him working with him in Alabama, I wonder if that's an aspect that Joe Shane wants to make use of. I forgot about that. That's a very interesting aspect. I was a huge fan of Jerry Jeudy coming out of college. He was an absolute monster for Alabama, but high ankle sprain affected him for multiple weeks, and he's never quite gotten on the same page with Russell Wilson. I was expecting a breakout year for Jerry Jeudy. I thought Jerry Jeudy was going to be one of the comeback players of the year candidate, but it's just not happened for whatever reason. It would be really good for the Giants, but I don't want to give up our draft picks. I like the fact that we've got 9 picks and we've got so many holes to fill. I wonder whether we could, considering we're 6-1 and we've got quite a reasonable schedule after the Seahawks game. We've got very winnable games against the Commanders and the Texans. I wonder, is it really worth giving up assets for the future when we're still in rebuild mode? And that's what we very much are. It's still a long process. I would look at free agency, waiver pick up more, maybe try and get more out of Kenny Golladay. In my opinion, I think just ride Slayton and Wandale. Unless you can get Jerry Jeudy for our third-round pick and maybe a 2024 pick. But I don't want to eat too much into our draft stock for this coming for next draft.
Right. And you could spin it and say, well, anyone you would take in the third round probably won't be as talented and have as much upside as a Jerry Jeudy. So if you can get him for a third, and let's say it costs you a third and a fifth, right? So you have to give up basically the pick you just got, essentially, and another pick, and you'd go back to having 7. And we're going to get picks possibly, I think, for Evan Ingram and
that's a great
somebody
point.
else. So maybe they're thinking, we just got these 2 picks for a guy that we're not using. We can now use that, and you might have to give up. I'm not going to say it's going to cost 3 picks, but if you have to give up that extra pick maybe in 2024 just to get him in and beat the Packers offer, maybe it's worth it, because Jerry Jeudy right now helps you in a way that a waiver wire pickup won't. And I don't know if Odell's coming here. I still think I would hold out the hope, but if he has to choose, he's going to go to like a surefire thing. That'd be Buffalo or Kansas City, which I don't know if he go to Kansas City at this point because they just got Toney, but you imagine that. Anyway, so maybe
I think you're right about Evan Ingram. It's a great point. Didn't Bobby Skinner say that they might get a 5th?
I think we get a 5th for Evan Ingram, and we get for like a 7th for Crossan. Keon Crossan is the other guy that we get a comp pick for. So maybe those 2 added picks you can use for Jerry Jeudy.
That's a good point. So say our 5th, our 3rd, maybe even a seventh.
It should be
Jerry Jeudy.
enough. It should be enough because if we're seeing former first-round picks get dealt for a third and a sixth, and we're seeing guys like Robert Quinn get dealt for basically nothing. The Jaguars just traded Robinson for basically nothing. The Broncos can't really say we need a second for Jerry Jeudy. They don't have to trade him, but if someone says we're going to give you a third and a fifth and so on, maybe they say, you know what, let's take it. Because they kind of need draft capital. They gave up a lot to get Russell Wilson, so they need picks.
That's a great point. Yeah, of course. The comp pick with Ingram actually helps us. Well, in that case, then yeah, I would make that happen if you can get if it's as long as it doesn't cost us our second, or especially certainly not our first. But I certainly like the prospect of Dable working with Jerry Jeudy. They've got a relationship with Alabama. I think you'd probably get the best out of him. I just hope that maybe the injuries haven't affected him too much. I've not seen too much of Jerry Jeudy this year. Not too much explosiveness, so I'm a little worried about that. But I hope he's really healthy.
I mean, I don't know what his number. I'm going to look up his numbers right now and see what he's been doing. He last played against the Jets, which was last week. So he had 7 receptions for 96 yards.
Okay.
It's his best game of the season. So if there was ever a time where he was healthy, before that, 3 receptions, 4, 2, 1, and then he had 4 for a $102 against Seattle to start the season and a touchdown. That immediately makes him our number 1 receiver, and those aren't the best numbers in the world. So, I mean, if we're going by who we have right now, Jerry Jeudy, I don't know why I was calling him Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy becomes your immediate 1, and then everybody else is like the bottom of it.
Without question.
I think if the offer can be made, and if Joe Schoen is willing to give up the 2 picks he basically just got, in a sense, and then maybe an extra, you might be able to go ahead and do it, because you have an opportunity here, even in a rebuilding year. You can still have a good amount of picks next year, because there's still players that we can potentially move next year and get some picks for. So there's ways you can work around things. Jerry Jeudy will help you this year and next year. I think that really helps, because you're not going to get a player of his caliber in the 3rd round, I don't think.
No, you're right. I that would be something to investigate for sure. As you say, there's been some big moves. What about the Eagles going all out and getting Quinn? That's scary.
It is very scary. It's annoyingly scary, because they already had a good defense. And they already have guys that obliterate our quarterbacks for lunch. So now you just add Robert Quinn, who, I mean, I trust Andrew Thomas to go against any one of their pass rushers, but will Evan Neal be healthy enough by the time we play Philly? Because if they can put anybody against Tyree Phillips and Izudu, we might get hurt really bad. So Philly,
we face them twice.
Yeah, kudos to Roseman, whoever his name is, the GM, because he's going for it, and he's still got 2 picks in the 1st round next year. So,
and he wants Alvin Kamara.
If they get Alvin Kamara, they're going to have to give up. They're going to have to give the Saints their pick back, first of all. And if they somehow get him without doing that, that dude deserves a statue outside of Philly. They gave
that rebuild has turned now into a juggernaut team. I mean, is this like a Madden sim he's doing right now?
I don't see a game that they lose. I would like to think that we could beat them in our house, but I don't know if we have enough to beat them. I mean, I know we beat Green Bay and Baltimore, but their schedule is cake, and so is ours, and so is a lot of teams in the East. Philly might be 17-0. I don't see a game that they lose.
Let's hope not. But yeah, they've got a juggernaut. And for sure, we're up against it, the 2 games that we're facing. Their GM's done a remarkable job. But, the Eagles are by far and away the best team of football right now. But, hey, Giants are 6-1. We're right there, man. We're not that far off.
Right there behind them.
Another note, Daniel Jones, NFC Player of the Week. Congratulations to Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes. Rob?
Called him the mayor of Dimesville last week, and he got the award, NFC Player of the Week. And he's so humble because you saw the video of his victory speech. He just said, "Let's get back to work." And I know El Jefe, who does the amazing content every week.
So good.
He's hilarious, and he had his "Damn It Daniel" that was getting retweeted by a bunch of different reporters, and he's like, "Show some fire, come on, man, you've earned it." And I can't help but get Eli Manning vibes from him because Eli was never that guy. Even after a big week, Eli say, "Let's get back to work, keep it going." Easy. So, if Daniel Jones is learning from anybody, he's learning from Eli in that sense. But he played his ass off, and I keep saying it because they keep comparing him to Lamar, and it keeps getting laughed off. And I, once again, cannot stress it enough. He's not on the same level as Lamar Jackson, but he's putting up numbers that people would kill to see Lamar Jackson put up. And I'm very happy to see Daniel Jones get the recognition for his play. He's playing his ass off. It's the best we've seen him play in his entire career. Week to week, he's getting better than the last. We have not seen that before in 3 straight seasons from him. So Daniel Jones, whatever you're doing, coaching staff, whatever you're doing with him, keep it going because we might have something here in number 8. It's still very early in the season, even though we're 6-1. I'm thrilled, but the fact that we thought this guy would be benched at this point in the season for Tyrod Taylor, and now he's getting NFC Player of the Week, I can't say enough about this coaching staff, and I can't say enough about Daniel Jones. The work he's putting in, it's clearly paying off.
100%. I agree with you on all aspects, man. I mean, the coaching staff has done wonders with him, but you also have to give Daniel Jones credit, man. He works so hard. He wants to succeed, and it's paying off. The fact is he's becoming a better quarterback week on week. If you look at his QBR, week on week, he's climbing at a meteoric rate because first 2 weeks I was not impressed, and certainly the numbers reflect that. But since then, dude is just hitting the heights. He's going right for the top, and he has been wonderful this year. I'm certainly not going to take away what he's done. He's done so much to be part of this 6-1. There's no question about it. Now the national media continue to give him no credit and are putting it all on Dable, but I don't think that's fair on Daniel Jones. And going into this year, I was one of Daniel Jones' biggest skeptics, but he's winning me over at the kind of rise that he has been putting in himself. It's just like, it's turned me right around. I mean, I remember I texted you last week. I was like, do we have a quarter? I was like, do we actually have a quarterback? Because kind of looks a lot like we do right now. So obviously we have a lot to discuss because we obviously can't franchise both Saquon and Jones. But our record now, it looks like it's going to be at a point where we're not going to be in the race for a CJ Stroud. Or possibly a Levis. So then maybe we have to find a way of negotiating a deal with Daniel Jones, which works for both sides. So, but that's obviously for the offseason. We will get into that when we get into that. But that was never a possibility, even as much as 3 weeks ago. Now it's very much on the table that Daniel Jones is possibly here long term. No,
you're right. And remember when we did our season preview show, I can't remember exactly who it was in the comments that asked, what does Daniel Jones have to do to be brought back? And first of all, shout out to Luca. Thank you for popping in. Big what's up to one of the three-headed monsters of the Boys in the Big Apple podcast. I remember who it was that made the comment, but we said he has to pretty much duplicate numbers-wise at least his rookie year, and we have to win a lot of games. We said the Giants probably have to make the playoffs for him to be back next year. And here we are 7 weeks in, and we're talking about the Giants possibly making the playoffs this year. I think if they win Sunday, it's not a guarantee, but it's like right there the Giants are going to be a playoff team. And Daniel Jones is like the 1A for that. It's Saquon and it's Jones that are the reason why we're winning these games, and of course the defense as well. But we have to come back every week to win, and the quarterback has to be a part of that. Daniel Jones is right there with Saquon as the guys that are getting it done. He's doing what they need him to do, and he's winning games. How does it? Everything boils down to, you can look at all the stats you want. If Daniel Jones was throwing for like 300 yards a game, but he was turning the ball over and we were losing, it would be like, it's there, but he just needs to clean this up. He needs to clean this up. Right now, the stats aren't there, but the wins are. So we have to take that, and we got to think we're going to make the playoffs this year. If we make the playoffs, even if we win 9 or 10 games, we're probably out of the running of a quarterback. Like you just said, the top 2 guys. I don't know if Richardson if he comes out this year, is better. There's upside, but is he going to be better than what Jones is right now, right? So that's still a very big question. Is there anybody?
I watch Gators games, and he doesn't look ready to me.
Right. So you might have to just be like, Daniel Jones might have to be the guy for another couple of years. Maybe even if it's just a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal. But if the Giants are playing like this even next year, we're not talking about being in the top 5, top 10 for a quarterback anymore. We're going to be picking in the 15 to 19 or 20 range, something like that, and maybe even further back. If we make the playoffs this year, we're guaranteed the 19th pick or lower. So I don't know if you're getting a quarterback at 19 or lower.
And here's another thing. There's going to be a market for a starting quarterback next year. There's going to be a ton of teams that will be looking at quarterbacks. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. If I were him, I would, with the way that the Packers have treated him.
The Bucs.
With terms of the team, with the roster that they've given him. The Bucs, there's a very good chance Tom Brady retires. He's certainly struggled this year. That's just 2. There are a bunch of teams that could be looking at quarterbacks, and they will be looking at Daniel Jones' situation going, hey, Dable's turned this guy into an NFL quarterback. We just need someone that could just do a solid job, and then we could reach where we need to reach. So that will raise their market for Jones considerably, where we might not even be able to negotiate a 1 or 2 year deal, and it might even be a longer term deal. And then that makes things very interesting. So I'm not ready to commit long term to Daniel Jones. As much as I'm totally on board with I think that certainly next year, I think he merits. But then you can't afford to tag him because the cap hit for tagging a quarterback
20 some odd million.
Yeah, and we can't afford to do that. So
no.
Wow, we got a lot to discuss on Nerding Out Sports over the coming year. But let's not distract from the fact that Daniel Jones has won NFC Player of the Week. Salute. Giant Nation salutes you. I certainly can't say enough about what he's given to the organization this year and the franchise and the work that he's put in to become a better quarterback and a good quarterback. So you earned this, Daniel Jones. You're being far too humble, taking all the credit away from yourself and putting it on the players. No, dude, you more than earned that last week. So salute.
Absolutely.
To you.
A big salute to Mr. Jones, the mayor of Dinesville. Luca here says, where are you guys ranking DJ amongst NFL quarterbacks? I'd say he's hit the middle of the pack average while previously being below average. I think that's very, very fair because he's not, numbers-wise, he's not anywhere close, right? He's not beating out Lamar. He's not beating out Hurts. He's not beating out Mahomes and Josh Allen and all these other dudes. Numbers-wise, he might not even finish with he might just get over 3,000 yards. He might not even hit 20 touchdowns at this rate. But he's winning, and his QBR puts him in the top 6, I think, in QBR. Wow. And he's also winning games, though. So, I mean, overall numbers, I think top 20, at least. I don't know if they're at 15. Maybe you can say, or they're 15 or 19 other.
Oh, I definitely think he's now top 15. At the moment, I think he's top 15.
Right in the middle. If you put him smack in the middle of the league, I think that's a fair place to put him.
I agree. I think he was below average, even the first 2 weeks of the year. But he's skyrocketed up, and now you're in the conversation where considering the level of play has not been there for the middle pack, I've not been impressed with what we'd consider the middle of the pack, and Jones has been better than them. So, you know what? The way Jones has played the last few weeks, he's definitely in the top 15, top 12 to 15 for sure. So credit to Daniel Jones. Shall we get into our preview of the Seahawks?
Yes, let's do so. Big game Sunday afternoon, game of the week for only game on the schedule, I believe, where both teams are above 500. As the Giants head to Seattle, take on the 4-3 Seahawks, led by Geno Smith. Man, who would have thought? Could you imagine if anyone would have told you before the season that Week 8 Giants Seahawks would be the game of the week? I think you might have had to check that person into rehab because it would have been the craziest thing you've heard. Giants Seahawks is game of the week. There's no way. But here we are. This is the
Geno Smith and Daniel Jones, two elite NFL quarterbacks going into Week 8.
There. But you still there? I kind of lost connection for a second.
Yep, I'm back.
Okay. A little check out there. But anyway.
Yeah, Geno Smith and Daniel Jones, elite quarterbacks going into Week 8. Hilarious.
It was so crazy that the connection kind of spat out there. Like you said, what? So here we are. Week 8, Giants Seahawks. What are we thinking?
Do you want to predict the score first?
I wanted to jump into our picks for the week.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, you first.
Predictions. So I did say last week that I think we're going to lose one of these two games on the road. Yeah. And I thought that this would be the one that our winning does come to a halt because going to Seattle, traveling east to West Coast is so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we'll put up a fight. I just don't know if we have enough to stop that running game for Seattle because Kenneth Walker went wild last week. I think the Seahawks take this one. I think it's going to be a close one again, 24-20.
Unfortunately, I know Giant Nation will probably not be too happy about this, but I have to agree with you there. I did say that I thought one of the 2 weeks between the Jags and the Seahawks we would lose. So following that, I have to say I think Seattle probably wins. Kenneth Walker, we've not done too bad with the run game, but not well enough, certainly the last few weeks. We've kind of struggled. LW is still getting back to full health. Dexter Lawrence has been phenomenal, but our linebackers in coverage have not been good. So I think Walker's going to have a good game. And then, unfortunately, they have two elite receivers, and that's very unfortunate for us because if they had just one, I'd be fine. No problem because Adoree Jackson will shut him down. But although Moreau is actually having a better year than Adoree Jackson, it's asking a lot to shut down Lockett and DK Metcalf. So Geno Smith, what is going on? How has he become a really good quarterback all of a sudden? So I don't know. I missed that boat all of a sudden, but he's turned into a really good freaking quarterback. It's freaking wild.
To cut you off for a second, DK Metcalf might not play. He has a knee injury.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what Ian Rappaport.
Okay, that's good news.
I guess at this point you can put him as questionable, but he might not play with that knee injury. So that is a gift for us. But still, most of the teams that do damage to us do it on the ground, and the Seahawks have a great running game.
Yeah. I think Daniel Jones will air it out a little bit. I think we'll do some damage to their secondary if we wanted to, but I just don't think we've got the options in the passing game that can do enough. So I'm going to go 20. What did you say, 24-20?
Yeah, 24-20 Seattle.
24-20. Yeah. I'm going to go 27-20 Seattle. Okay. Shall we get into predicted stats?
Let's go for it. So we'll start with the NFC Player of the Week. How many yards does Daniel Jones finish with, and how many touchdowns and turnovers?
I'm going to write down Mayor of Dimesville because I
Mayor
do
of
love
Dimesville.
Mayor of Dimesville. Well, I did say I think he's going to have a good game passing wise. I would say, what did he get last year? Last week.
Last week he finished with, what was it, 204? 202 through the air and a touchdown. He ran for 107 and a touchdown.
That's wild. I think I'm writing down 250. 250 yards passing from the Mayor.
He would have had certain players not dropped his passes.
Yeah.
He would have had another touchdown and about another 40, 50 yards.
Okay, so Mayor of Dimesville, 250. I'm going to write that down. Okay, what have you got?
I think he goes over 200, but I don't think he'll get to 250. I think they're going to rely on the ground game more this week to try to keep themselves in the game. I think he goes about 215. He'll throw for another touchdown, and I keep predicting that he's going to have a turnover, and he doesn't actually have one. So maybe I think this will be the week that he gets a pick. Maybe it's a good luck charm that I keep saying he gets one and he doesn't. So
yeah, that's true, man. He's keeping the turnovers right down. Okay, Saquon
Barkley last
best
week
running back in football.
Absolutely, he finished with 110 on the ground, 25 receiving. So he had a $135 with no touchdowns. So total yards, I think he'll go 115 and he'll have a touchdown.
Okay. Let me look at where Seattle's run defense is at, because that will certainly help my decision as to how many yards he's going to get. Just want to give a quick look here, and that will certainly help make my decision. Okay, Seattle versus the run. They're 28th in the league. Yeah. So they don't do well against the run, so that certainly helps me. 125 yards for Saquon rushing.
And he scores?
One rushing touchdown.
All right.
So 125, but if the Mayor Dimesville's got 250, and the Giants only scored 20 points,
something's going wrong.
Yeah, something's going wrong.
A lot of red zone stops.
So I'm putting the Mayor Dimesville down at 240 because I still think he gets one passing touchdown. But yeah, I think there might be a turnover in there that probably costs us the game because Saquon's going to run riot. Okay. That's it. So I've got Saquon on 125 and it's a rushing touchdown. I've got Mayor Dimesville 240 and one passing touchdown.
Who is the leading receiver for the New York Giants this Sunday?
Slayton.
Okay. His number one target is out. Daniel Bellinger. You're going to miss him a lot. And we're also down 2 starting offensive linemen, Bredesen and Neal. I don't know what we're going to do through the – I'm leaning, in all honesty, towards Saquon Barkley being our leading receiver for this game. But I think we've seen that he can be trusted more. I'm going to go Wan'Dale Robinson again.
Okay. Yeah, Wan'Dale will certainly – I mean, to be honest, there's not much to choose from.
Yeah.
Richie James? I don't know.
Can't be David Sills.
David Sills.
Watch it be David Sills.
It will be.
This week he's going to go off.
Next, first turnover. Who gets the first turnover for the Giants?
So you had it on the head last week. You had Julian Love, and he got the first takeaway. I think if we get it, Geno Smith has not turned the ball over either this year. He's had only 3 picks, I believe. So I don't know if we get a pick this week. I think if we get anything, it's going to be a fumble, and I think it's going to be a fumble recovery by one Dexter Lawrence. So he'll get the takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to go with Tibbs' forced fumble. I don't know who recovers it, but Tibbs is going to force a fumble for me. That's where I'm at. Dex and Tibbs. Okay, that's the turnover situation. Receiver, Saquon. First touchdown.
First touchdown. Okay, so I have Danny throwing for one. I have Saquon getting one. So by my guess, it would be 14 points and then 2 field goals. So who gets the first touch? I think it's going to be much like last week. I think we get it through the air. I think Daniel Jones is going to throw one to Darius Slayton. He'll get the touchdown again. First touchdown. Again, slim pickings.
Double Saquon. All right. Shall we go through? I think that's all our predictions.
Total number of sacks. Did we didn't even do that last week?
Yeah, total number of sacks. Good job. Yeah.
Something that we actually don't do. We only have a total of 12 on the year.
That's crazy. Considering how good our defense is, we just don't get sacks.
We're close. Like if Kayvon Thibodeau would not get held every single play, he'd probably have about 4 right now.
Yeah, somehow the officials are missing that. It's freaking wild.
I just think it's going to get a lot better when Aziz is healthy. I mean, he's out at least, 4 weeks? If he comes back, that'll be very big. Hopefully we get O'Shane back because he's been a monster this year.
X-Man's awesome. Yeah.
So total sacks, I think 2.
Well, if you're going 2, I would probably go 2 too. So I'm just going to go 3. Go. Is that all our statistical predictions?
I believe it is. Now, is there anyone that could kind of go under the radar here that you would think could have a big game? Your X factor for the week?
The X factor of the week. It's absolutely vital that Tyree Phillips has a solid game. He's going to be a replacement for Evan Neal at right tackle. How he's going to hold is going to be very, very important. If he can keep Jones upright long enough, I like Tyree Phillips. I think he's a big dude. I think he should be fine. If he can keep him upright long enough, then Jones can air it out deep to Saquon and Wandale. I do think we can get after their secondary. I don't love their secondary that much, so I'm going to go Tyree Phillips.
I was going to say him or Izudu because the Seahawks got a few guys with multiple sacks this year. Jefferson's got 3, Nwosu's got 3, and Taylor has 3. Not to mention Woods has a couple as well. So they can get to the quarterback. They're 10th in the league with 17 total sacks. So it's going to be a big test on this offensive line. But I think my X factor, I'm going to put it on Graham Gano. This could be a game that might be decided by the kickers. So if it's anything like the last game we played in Seattle, it could be this could be a surprise defensive battle for all we know, and it could be the battle of the kicker. So I think if we do end up winning, Graham Gano could be the X factor here.
Oh, I love it. Okay, weekly picks.
Right. So we just had the game yesterday. The Buccaneers lost again. They are struggling. However, we both already have our picks in for this game. We both got Seattle. So we got a London game Sunday morning, Broncos and Jaguars over, and I think that's in Wembley. So that'll be.
Well, Jaguars is basically a home game for the Jags because they play in London a lot. And they've also sort of connection to London. So I'm going to go Jags.
Yeah, Broncos are just they're just such a strange team right now. Russell Wilson's doing high legs in the aisles of the airplane, and
He's such a weird dude.
I don't know. His Subway commercial has become a meme at this point. I'm going to take Jacksonville as well.
Yeah. Such a weird dude. Kind of glad the Giants didn't give everything up to get him now.
We got the Panthers and the Falcons. If the Panthers win, there's a possibility that at the end of the week, they are in first place in the NFC South.
I'd give up. What's going on with that team? Dude, good God. Burns is great, but that's it, really. I'm going to go Falcons.
I'm going to go Panthers. I think they're gonna ride the wave here. They just beat the Bucs. They're feeling good, and I think I'm in for chaos here. So give me the Panthers.
They're getting rid of McCaffrey. Do they have enough in the run game?
They apparently did. They did it to beat the Bucs.
Unbelievable. Vikings Cards.
That could be a good one. The Cardinals have got their boy back. DeAndre Hopkins is supposed to be playing. They got Robbie Anderson now. I'm going to go with the – is Jefferson playing? Is he – I think he's playing. Yeah. Man, it's at home. Take the Vikings.
So look at the Week 8 injury report. So you're going to go Vikings. Okay. Just go a quick look at the injury report. No, it's just Jalen Naylor. Yeah, he's going to be fine. I'm going to go with the Cards.
That could be a really fun game. It could be a high-scoring one.
Lions, Dolphins. Could be another high-scoring game.
If you watched that Dolphins offense last week, but the Lions defense is really bad, and it's indoors. Dolphins.
Yep. Me too. Both agree on that. Okay. Cowboys, Bears.
The Bears just put a hurting on the Patriots on the road. Dallas is a 10-point favorite here, according to Yahoo at least. My goodness. If I was picking with the numbers there, I would take Chicago. However, Dallas, they're a good team, unfortunately.
They are a very good team, unfortunately.
Very good
Cowboys
team.
By 2. Both of us are on the Cowboys train. Fine. Saints, Raiders.
Is Michael Thomas playing?
I believe. Well, he was questionable. I think he was. I think he's going to be fine. That's a short-handed Saints passing attack versus vulnerable Raiders pass defense. Okay, let's have a look and see here.
Sounds fun.
Doesn't it sound great? I believe Dalton's playing. Dalton's definitely starting.
Oh, then give me the Raiders.
I was going to say that. Although Chris Olave is really good.
They got some weapons, so I don't know if they should blow it up if they trade Kamara, but they could use the picks. They need a quarterback in New Orleans. Add that to what we mentioned earlier. A lot of quarterback-needy teams next year.
I actually think Thomas is out. Right. Okay. Give me the Raiders.
The Raiders win. They're right back in that race at 3 and 4.
2 and 4. Yeah, if they get up to 3 and 4, they're kind of back in the race a little bit. Don't understand what's going on with the Raiders. They should be a lot better than they are. Okay, E-Girls and the Steelers.
Oh, my God. I watched, like I mentioned earlier, or the other day, I watched that full game, Steelers-Dolphins, and the Steelers flat out stink. Yep. The Eagles, if they do not win by double digits, it's a disappointment. The Eagles should obliterate the Steelers this week.
Yes, exactly. And their Eagles defense has now gotten better. And Kenny Pickett is not going to like the pass rush that he's going to encounter. Plus, the Eagles offense is a complete juggernaut, both in the air and on the ground. So a terrifying team. The Eagles are going to whitewash them. Here's a good one for Luca. The Jets and the Patriots.
Now, why are the Patriots favored here? Did they not watch what happened last week? I mean, I know the Jets aren't necessarily blazing with the ball offensively, and I believe it's going to be interesting to watch their running game this week without with the injury there. But I mean, Moore should play this week, and I think Davis is hurt. So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how the Patriots bounce back. Their quarterback situation is funky.
Yeah.
The Jets' defense looks strong. The Jets look strong, and they're at home. I think the Jets take this one. It might be a close game, but I think the Jets take this one.
All right. I'm going to go with the Patriots. Belichick always goes extra hard against the Jets. Like, he shows no mercy against the Jets. And the Patriots' defense is still one of the best defenses in football. So, plus Zach Wilson still misses open receivers. So I think the Patriots defense is going to do a number on them. So I'm going to give me the Pats for that. Plus, I think the Jets are going to need a week just to figure out their running game.
Lucas says the tickets are selling out. MetLife's going to be rocking. They're going to be roaring, he says.
It should be it'll be a fun matchup. Really will be. Texans and the Titans.
Titans are back. They're winning football games. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry again. The Texans are the Houston Texans. Give me Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yeah. Me too. Okay. We've both gone to Seattle. Colts Commanders.
Oh, man. The Colts are such a strange team. They're starting Elringer this week. They gave up on Matt Ryan 7 games into it. The Commanders are feeling pretty good. They're 3-4, and they aren't necessarily a great team, and they're not even at full strength. Give me the Commanders.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go Colts, but good thinking, Rob. That might be a sneaky win for you. We'll wait and see. Here's a very good one: Rams and the 49ers.
Man, I don't know if the Rams have enough. The 49ers are pissed. They got McCaffrey and they got smacked by the Chiefs last week. The Rams do not look good at all.
No.
Like, at all. And I don't know if they're going to be able to beat San Francisco. So I'm going to take the Niners on the road.
Damn, me too. Both going 49ers. I'd like to go Rams, but still seeing anything from them. The run game is up in the air. They've got no offensive line. That was one of their biggest mistakes, is not focusing on the offensive line, considering Stafford is not that great out of the pocket. He's a pocket passer. You need to give him time. And they never went and got a proper number 2 receiver or a slot receiver to help when to allow plays to develop downfield. They really screwed up the offseason. They really did, because their team on paper is a machine. But I mean, obviously they've got the weapons, the Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, but their running game has not been good.
They've regressed.
Yeah, they have. And they don't have any draft picks and assets to get better. They have to hope that Odell Beckham chooses the Rams again.
Yeah.
They really do. Give me the 49ers. I really like what the 49ers have been doing the last few weeks. They look like a pretty damn good franchise. I think they're going to be a strong team. They know what they're good at. They're good in their ground. They've got a really good scheme with developing run plays. So, yeah, give me the 49ers. Bills-Packers, another fun one.
I think the Packers are finished. If they lose this week, I don't know. The North is out of the running for them if the Vikings win and then Packers lose. I think Buffalo, if it wasn't for Philly being 6-0, and Buffalo still, I think, overall the best team in football, but Buffalo at home, primetime, Rodgers is blaming people for everything. Packers look like a lost organization right now. Buffalo, they're 11-point favorites, and it's rightfully so. They should win this game.
Yeah. Same here. We pretty much got the same idea. Okay, Browns and the Bengals. Joe Burrow has been on fire. He had an insane week last week, Joe Burrow. He just went off. He put up Madden numbers. So I think we can safely say that Joe Burrow is back and taking names.
Right. And Cleveland is an interesting team because you feel like there's a game every week that you could pick them, but then they just kind of tell you not to. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be until they get the a-hole back at quarterback. So I think the Bengals win this one. I can't.
However, Jamar Chase is expected to be out for at least 3 or 4 weeks.
Right, that's huge. The Bengals still have weapons though. Like I just don't know if the Browns have enough.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd's really stepped up this year. He didn't have much of a year last year, but he has taken off. And I still expect T. Higgins to get better. He's an elite receiver too. So I think they should be fine, even without Jamar Chase. But it's going to be a huge loss. It can't even be understated. But I still fancy the Bengals.
So we've got a few games that'll decide the week here because we've only disagreed on a couple. Commanders, the Patriots, Jets, we had a different pick. Panthers, Falcons, we were different.
Falcons. That's about it, really.
Yeah. So we're going to see.
Cards, Vikings as well.
Yeah. We'll see.
I keep choosing the Cards for some reason, even though the Cards, all they do is let me down. So I really wonder what's going through my head. Constantly going with the Cards. I think I'm just going with talent rather than really looking into the fact that their coaching staff seems to be falling apart at the seams.
Things are interesting in Arizona, but we'll see how it all plays out. I know we both picked against our Giants, but I hope that we are proven wrong. I really do, because if we're 7-1 coming out of Sunday, it would be a very, very nice feeling. Even if we don't win, put up a fight. Seattle's a good team. I wouldn't be upset, but man,
have you looked at Giants injury report for this coming week?
Is it up yet? Because I've been trying to find it, see if O'Shane will be playing. Like, we know the offensive linemen are going to be out.
So I've got it here. Injury report as of October 27th. So obviously Bellinger's obviously not going to be available. Ben Bredesen did not practice Thursday or Wednesday. We've not got the update yet for Friday, but doesn't look too good for Bredesen. Cordell Flott did not practice all week. Again, that pick looks like a bust. Kenny Golladay, DNP all week. Evan Neal's out. X-Man, quad strain, DNP. Tyree Phillips, limited practice, but I'm sure he'll be okay. Jason Pinnock, limited practice. DL, elbow, limited practice. So for the Seahawks, DK Metcalf, knee injury, did not practice Wednesday. Penny Hart, DNP. Phil Haynes, DNP. Nick Bellore, DNP. Pinna Ford, DNP. Darryl Taylor, DNP. Gabe Jackson, limited. Tyler Lockett, limited. Artie Burns, limited. Ryan Neal, limited. Sidney Jones, limited. Quentin Jefferson, limited. So looks like Seattle will have some injuries, but I'd be shocked if Tyler Lockett and Ryan Neal and Sidney Jones didn't play.
Right.
DK Metcalf's interesting though, but yeah, the Giants are going to really struggle with Bellinger out. Like he was Daniel Jones' safety net.
He was. We're going to miss him. I just hope that his injury is a speedy recovery and it's not too serious, because when you're dealing with the eye, just the fact that he needs surgery on the eye socket, like that's scary. To think that just happened. It looked like a simple eye poke. We didn't think it was that crazy at first. And then you saw his eye when he was getting carted off. You're like, oh my God. Then you heard he was in the hospital and you're like, oh my God. Then you hear that he needs surgery and you're like, what the fuck? So I know I'm going to miss him. He was having such a good year. So we'll see how that all plays out. But we'll see how it goes Sunday. Hopefully the Giants come away victorious and prove us wrong. If not, 6-2 will be even more than we could have expected after 8 weeks. But that is going to wrap it up for us here at Never Announced Sports. Rob McDonald, New York Giants, win or lose. Let's just enjoy your Sunday because
Amen.
We're feeling good right now. And
We're
hopefully
very good. Win or lose, we're in great shape.
Hopefully the good vibes continue. But that is going to do it. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Links are all in the description below. We will see you all next time. Let's go, G-Men.
Let's go, Giants. Come on, baby.
Go, Giants. Get pumped up. Peace out.